Please tell me your name.
My name is Anthony L. Mintor.
And what is your birthday?
I was born on July 23rd, 1956.
Summer.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing to do is really be with my family. Just spending family time is very valuable, very important to me. And a close second is really anything having to do with serving the Lord. Worship, I love worship time, I love study time, I love to teach, anything like that.
Teach. What do you teach? What do you like to teach?
I love to teach Bible principle. So I love to teach the Word in general, but I also love teaching how that applies to people's lives. So what do these scriptures really mean? What does it mean to me? How do I take this and make it live? I love doing that.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
Actually, I grew up in the District of Columbia. I am almost a native Washingtonian. I was actually moved to Washington D.C. before I was a year old.
Oh.
I was born in Louisa County, Virginia, which is probably about roughly 2-hour drive from here. And before I was a year old, I was living. I actually moved not far from where we are now. I'll never forget 4540 Benning Road. Lived there for about 9 years.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the Fort Davis area.
Oh. What was Benning Road like when you grew up?
It was very interesting. We were all so I'm not necessarily close. Let me say interconnected. I mean, it was just like it really was a big community. So it was an apartment building, and so you know who's upstairs. You know the folk upstairs. You know the folk downstairs, and many of us were actually very close. But everybody knew everybody, and everybody talked to everybody. It was real community, and as it happens in real community, I mean, everybody was not best friends, if you understand what I'm saying. But there was a real sense of community, and to this day we remember the different people that we had the opportunity to meet. We still talk about it sometimes.
How do you feel about the community now? Like, what do you see? What's your vision?
I hear you. Let's talk about the community that I minister in right now, which would be a part of that community as well. I have major concerns at times because it really hurts me to see some of the violence that happens within the community sometimes. Some of the separation. I think one of the biggest things that I want to see fall is how divided the community is as it relates to whether you live on the avenue, whether you live in the circle, or whether you live on 37th place. All of that it's so sad to see those divisions. So we're talking about areas that are very close to each other, but yet there seems to be, for some reason, great division between them. One of my greatest goals as a pastor is to see that overcome. I long to see that.
I feel like our community is really struggling. Our generation, the teens, the young adults, it's like they don't even know who they are anymore. Like they're different from the community you grew up in. Nowadays, we don't know each other. We look at each other, you look at me, and we might have a fight. Like you walk down the street, you look at somebody strange, they'll think you looking at them to start something. And it hurts me every day to see somebody die. Like every young black male is dying out here. Don't really know what's the purpose of it. I feel like something else could be done. And now I feel like more is that going to happen because Donald Trump has got elected as president. So I feel like more is going to come bad out of that. So I'm just hoping our community get it together before something else worse happens. You never know what's going to come. And when it do come, it's going to be right in front of our eyes, waiting. So,
Yeah, when not really that long ago, I almost said when I was coming up, but it really wasn't all that long ago. There was a gentleman who's very well known in this area by the name of Rolock. He used to have this saying, "Nobody can save us from us but us." And I believe it is really the responsibility of the stakeholders of this community, regardless as to who's president or regardless as to who is in offices, city council, mayor, whatever. It is our responsibility to look at where we are and to make a difference in this community. And it really can be done. I could tell some stories. I was really a part of an amazing neighborhood transformation right here in this neighborhood. There was a time in the I would say in the 80s when it was just so bad. Literally, we were burying people, 2 and 3 young people a week from this community. The violence was just crazy, and there was a tremendous change that took place as a result of, if people who know the history of the city remember when the city went into receivership and all of that, and as a result of that, there was a gentleman that was put over housing, and he began a project. He worked with the people within the community. And he literally, this guy's name was Bob Woodson, and he hired the people from the community to take care of the community. So the housing hired people from the housing project to take care of the community. Some of those guys still have those jobs today.
Really?
Even though the program is gone. Yeah, it was just amazing, and they called a truce. They were able to manage a truce. It was Bob Woodson and the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise. It was the Alliance of Concerned Men. It was First Rock Baptist Church, and a number of other entities came together and saw that change in the community. And it lasted a good while. And it's so interesting because it makes me think of scripture, but eventually a new generation came up. And the new generation, in my estimation, was not a part of the history of what had happened in the bringing forth of the truth. And I have seen the violence begin to escalate again. And so I still believe that the answer to stopping the violence in the community comes from right here in the community. And so we have to figure that out. It's not something that the church by itself can do. It's a matter of the stakeholders of this community, meaning the people that live here, the people that work here, the people that minister here, all coming together and decide we don't want to live like this. And I believe that really is the answer to getting it turned around again. And even now, it's not as bad as it was at one time.
Yeah.
But I think we have a responsibility of making sure it does not get back there, and look at how we make things better for everybody.
Right. So what made you become a pastor?
Oh, very good question. In my very early 20s, I was very committed to the Christian religion. From the founder of the church had ministered. We just started coming here, and he ministered to me, to my family, and I eventually gave my life to Christ. Shortly after that, well, not shortly, a little while, it was a while later, because that happened at 12, but in my early 20s, I was called into the ministry. So it was literally, it was partially through a dream, partial through a vision, and the Lord really just opening my eyes to what He wanted me to do. And I began to preach and teach the gospel soul, which meant I had to learn. So I spent time studying the Word, and the Lord just began to grow me up and to use me ministering His Word and teaching His Word. And so after quite a few years as a minister, and I'm skipping a whole lot of history here, but our second pastor asked me to leave my job and come on to be an assistant pastor. And at that point, let me tell you, I had no desire to be a pastor of a church. No, it was really not my plan. But I was starting to have a real need to do something more than I was doing. I was working for Giant Food, and things were going well there, but I felt like I was not having the kind of impact. Right. So the Lord had really begun to burden my heart to do something to have impact. And so I was willing take a tremendous pay cut to come on and start as His assistant in full-time ministry. And he was a dynamic man of God, Richard Corbin, just a great leader, dynamic pastor, and the two of us were a great team. He certainly taught me a lot. We worked very well together, and that was really the beginning. As the Lord would have it, Pastor Corbin became ill. Mm-hmm. And eventually had to retire. He was stricken with the early onset of Alzheimer's. And as a result of that, I ended up being pastor. And at first, I was like, no, but long story short, the Lord began to minister to me through a couple of pretty amazing situations that we probably don't have time to go through now. But nevertheless, the Lord really made it clear to me where He was calling me. And so I accepted, and the rest is history. Here I am, pastor of First Rock Baptist Church.
Right. What is your relationship with the teens, the youth?
I would love to hear them speak to that. I think it's a good relationship. I can tell you, my heart really goes out to them. Someone did once tell me some of the teens felt like I was closer to the children from the congregation as opposed to from the community, which really kind of hurt a little bit to hear that. But I understand their perspective, and perspective becomes your reality, right? Mm-hmm. And so I see how they see it. But the fact of the matter is that I probably knew them better. So when if I know you, how I say hi to you may be a little different. Right. So I really try to be real careful now in how I interact to try to make everybody feel like I know them, even if I may not know them. Because what I'm really trying to communicate is that you care. I mean, I care about you. You make a difference, and so I have such a heart for the teens of this community. It's so much that I want, as it relates to education, as it relates to building the future. What are your plans and all? I mean, all of that stuff really matters to me, and I'm trying to develop a platform where we can really give these kids the very best there is to offer. And we have a new gentleman that's working with our young people who I think is very gifted, and I think the two of us working together, I think it's going to have a great impact with the youth around here. Time will tell.
Yeah. Okay, so what did you originally want to become growing up? Like, did you decide to go to college?
So I'm sorry. Well, so let me answer that question. And the reason I laughed so is because this is gonna be real crazy. When I was in college, actually my latter years of high school, early years of college, I went to Howard University, and believe it or not, I wanted to open a nightclub. It's not a story I would have told if it hadn't come up. But yeah, I used to, when I was in especially early years in college, I used to love to go to clubs and all of that, and as a result, I could always talk about what this club could do, what they could do to make this really a good club. Yeah. So I had a couple of my partners in crime, some guys I really hung with a lot. We were going to open a club together, and all of our last names either began with a M or W.
Yeah.
And so we had our logo all figured out. It was the M all meeting together, so you can't tell which is the M and the N. So all in a circle. So we had all of these plans. It was going to be a mean club with a swimming pool, whole bit anyhow. And clearly, the Lord had different plans for my life.
Right.
And so I ended up leaving school before I finished my degree, and actually started working in retail.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually ended up retiring with 21 years of service at Giant Food in retail management when I came here to begin my career in full-time ministry.
What was your major? Business?
My major was voice.
Oh.
I was a singer. So you're taking me into some real significant parts of my life. So when I was in high school, and I went to high school not far from here, H.D. Woodson.
Oh, really?
I was part of what I like to call the famed H.D. Woodson Male Chorus. And we toured Europe. Let me tell you, the H.D. Woodson Male Chorus was something special. And so I really gained a lot. So those guys that I was going to open a club with, they were from the H.D. Woodson Male Chorus. So anyhow, it really started even in junior high school. I started. I was just singing, and the teacher walked by me and said, "Wow, you have quite a voice." And so she started me to singing, and so when Woodson, she said, "I want you to go there and learn music," because they had a special program for music ministry. So I did that. And so there was a gentleman there by the name of Samuel Lee Edward Bonds, and he started a group called the Male Chorus.
Yeah.
It was quite a group. And as a result, we were able to really just have some great experience, and I found that I really loved this. And so I loved performing. I loved the singing, and so I decided that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I majored in music at Howard. So what neighborhood did you grow up in the District of Columbia?
I grew up on Dix Street, right there on 49th, right there.
Familiar with it?
I lived with my aunt and grandmother. Growing up, it was different than what my aunt, grandma, my other family, the older people, were telling me how they grew up in DC, and it was like I have no idea what they go through. I don't. It's like I can tell them what the everyday life of DC, and they see it. But let me point out something. So, my aunt used to tell me every day before you go to school, pay attention to your surroundings. I listen, but I don't listen sometimes. So I still, have my headphones in every morning, and next thing you know, on the news, a girl got snatched, a little girl got raped, and so sometimes, it's kind of important to pay attention and to listen. But growing up, it was fun. I had 2 sisters, one brother that I lived with, and I had 2 sisters in New York. But growing up with my sisters, it was fun. Sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it wasn't easy. But it was really fun. They had my back. They always looked out for me, and I always looked out for them. We got in trouble together. We always got in trouble together, and we make the mistakes together. And my brother was always there. He we basically looked up. We looked up to each other, kinda. But I feel like I'm the special one. I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So
you're the baby of the family. So
yes. So I've seen the mistakes that my brother and sisters go through, and I feel like what, I want to be the one to change. I want to be the youngest and the smartest one to make the right decisions in life. And I'm determined by that with the support of my family. My aunt, she's always supporting me. She's actually a minister at her church.
Okay.
So she's always supporting me. You know, you can do it. You can go to college. You can do this. You can do that. Just get your grades up. Focus, focus, focus. That's all she's telling me. Focus.
Wow.
And you know, my sisters and my brother, they're focused.